Hello and welcome to our second webinar of the day, which is Document Libraries, Organized Work Papers with Metadata, Versioning, and Secure Sharing. And you see on your screen there, you see me, I'm Gary DeHart, and you see Therman Trotman, but he's actually not here. Right when we got ready to start this, the his Zoom or something on his end started messing up. So he is actually frozen. So we're trying to get him logged back in while I go through this kind of housekeeping things to get this thing going here. So this is part three of a three-part series on mastering Microsoft tools for accounting pros. My name is Gary DeHart. As I said a second ago, I am the publisher of Insightful Accountant and your host. Our presenter is Therman Trotman. He's the founder of SharePoint Help Desk. He will introduce himself once I turn this event over to him and once we get him logged back in. Thurman, are
Can you
you
hear me?
live? There he is. Woohoo! He's back. How about that?
Sweet.
Technology zero, Thurman one. All
I'll
right.
take
So I
it.
think we are ready to roll. That's everything we needed here. I'm going to be hiding in the background. Thurman, I will be interrupting you every so often just because we do have three more poll questions to throw out there. So everybody, I'm not being rude. This is how he wants to work with us. So that is what we're going to do. Thank you,
Yes.
sir. Appreciate you being here. Actually, I didn't get to ask my question of the day. Last month it was Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Now it's Christmas. What has to be on the table for Christmas, for the Christmas meal?
So there's gonna be a turkey. The reason why is because I'm not happy with the results from my turkey on Thanksgiving.
You're getting a
It
redo.
was, yeah, yeah. Which I've been down this road before. I think it was, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago when I first got a deep fryer for the turkey. I deep fried it, I burnt it, ruined it on Thanksgiving. But then a
Oh,
month later, I came back on Christmas, gave it another shot, and it was good. This year,
rock
I
star.
baked it, but the breast came out super dry, and I was just like, I don't like that. So I'm giving it another shot on Christmas.
Not acceptable. Yeah, we do a beef tenderloin, and
Nice.
for Thanksgiving this year we were down at my brother's place at the beach, and we bought it like at a local barbecue place. It was good, but it wasn't that homemade roasted turkey, which I love that roasted turkey. So, but
I'm with you.
still won't be on the menu this year. I'm sure it's going to be that tenderloin again, but I do miss
Mm.
that roasted turkey. So maybe I'll do one anyway. Who knows?
Yeah,
So,
when
all
you
right.
do a turkey right, it's just good. Super good.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Thurman, thank you so much. Anybody else, if you have any thoughts on what's got to be on that Christmas meal or Hanukkah meal or holiday meal, whatever, just drop it in the chat. Let's see what we eat. Thurman, I will interrupt you shortly. Thank you.
All right, good deal. I appreciate that. Thank you. Just want to say what's up to everybody that's here. Um, if you've been here to one of my webinars, then you know I normally have like a whole thing going on in the background. But today, I got some work being done in my office, so I'm in a different location in my house. But uh, you're not here to see me. You know what I'm saying? You're here to learn, so no big deal. Today we're going to be talking about documents. Homemade cranberry sauce, nice. Today we're going to be talking about documents. I personally not a big fan of documents, files, those things. Because I know about tools that are available to us um, instead of the documents. And so I like to avoid documents as much as possible. And when I say documents slash files, I'm talking about Word documents, PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, period. Um, PowerPoint, you know what I mean? Like anytime that I can avoid creating yet another file, I do that simply because there's other tools to achieve the goal. For instance, it's very normal to create a PDF and call it a form because you put the fields on there and you send it out, have people fill it out. Same thing with a Word document. You create a Word document, you put the fields on there, and you tell people to fill it out. Now, when you do something like that, you make it harder for yourself to work with the data afterwards. You make it difficult for the person who's filling out the form. Because if you try to make a form on Microsoft Word, and then you send that to somebody, it gets confusing. You know what I'm saying? When they're trying to fill it out, like they can't fit all of the information into a field, so then they have to, open up the box to make it longer. They can't figure out where's the next area that they need to go to after filling something out. Like, is this a mandatory field? Is this even a field? Things like that. It makes it difficult. PDFs are better, but the other problem with the PDF or challenge, I should say, because they're all good tools. But the challenge with your PDF is, let's say you have a PDF. Matter of fact, a friend of mine, I'm about to update him. A friend of mine the other day, we were talking, he does real estate. And he was saying that he sends a PDF out to all of his new people because he has to take that information down and then go put it in another system and then run credit and run whatever you do as a real estate person. I said, send it to me. Let me see it. And then when I saw it, I said, look, this PDF, it works, no problem. But if you would like, we could change this to where you don't send people PDFs. You just send them a link and you already have access to a tool that allows you to do this. So instead of collecting a bunch of PDFs and taking the data out of there and putting it into another system, you can collect the data right into what looks like a list. So you could send a link to somebody. You are very familiar with this thing. It's called a Microsoft form because Google did it first. Google had Google Forms, and then Microsoft copied it and made Microsoft Forms. So you've seen these before, and you already pay for that right now if you pay for the Microsoft 365 suite. So imagine you send that link to somebody, they fill the information out, and then it comes right into it does come into a spreadsheet into your system. But you can automate that stuff and move it out of the spreadsheet, put it into a SharePoint list. The reason I'm saying all of this is, again, just to drive the point home that when it comes time to create a file or document, whatever, I stray away from that because there's better tools out there to accomplish my goal. So instead of creating forms of Word documents, I do it with SharePoint lists, which has a form feature. I can't remember if I showed y'all that in the first session we had, but that's my take on documents. You know what I'm saying? As I'm on my soapbox here. Now, with that being said, I still understand that companies use millions of documents, tons and tons and tons of documents. So where I fit in is showing you how, because you have a bunch of documents, here's a better way to organize them, not only just for you, but also for your coworkers, your colleagues, and your customers. So if you plan to one day, use Microsoft 365, like using SharePoint for creating portals for your customers, you can do the thing where you create a library, you throw all the files that they need inside of that library, maybe inside of a bunch of folders, and then you tell them, hey, everything you need is inside of that library. Does it work? Yes, it works. It's fine. But there's better ways to do things, and that's what I'm gonna be talking about here today. And like Gary mentioned, he'll be interrupting me, but also feel free at any time to drop your comments in the chat here or your questions so that I could I'll stop myself and answer. Now I'm looking at the agenda because I want to make sure that we go through this thing properly. And so the I want to make this worthwhile your time. So make it worthwhile yet. Make it worthwhile. So okay, yeah, one online folders. All right. So the first thing I want to show you is what even metadata is. Because you probably hear that word, and some of you probably understand what metadata is, and some of you are probably like, stop using those words. It's ridiculous. So, when you create a library inside of SharePoint, you get a bunch of features that you might not be using. You highly likely will probably use folders, but I'm going to show you how you can either eliminate your folders or use metadata to work with your folders. So I'm gonna share my screen here. Let me get up in here. I almost clicked on leave. Why did I do that? Thank goodness. All right. Right here. Am I sharing a window or is that where's my screen? Okay, that's fine. All right, you should be able to see my screen. I'm at the home screen of my SharePoint site. So,
Does welcome to Copilot chat.
yeah, not my SharePoint site, but my 365 suite. And yes, that's exactly what you should be seeing. So, um, I'm gonna take you to, oh, you know what? What we've been doing. I'm gonna go back to our lovely accounting site. So if you came here to the first or second session, then you know we created this right here, the lovely accounting firm. The lovely accounting firm, when we created it, it automatically comes with a library, as all SharePoint sites do. Just trying to move this thing out the way. All right. So if they didn't put a link to it up here, all right, so that's fine. So when we look at site contents, we can see everything on the site, including a document library. And look right here, we have a library called Documents. And before the meeting, I was uploading a bunch of documents in here so I could show y'all something. So if you use SharePoint pretty frequently, then you would recognize that this is a new interface. I'm talking about within the last couple weeks. Microsoft has overhauled the document library inside of SharePoint. So you know how over here you were used to seeing the upload button? They moved that all the way over here to the right. They have, when you create views, you can now see those views without having to like go digging into a drop down. And then you can click to filter for your types of documents. So if I wanted to see all my Word documents, I could click on that and look, I can see all my Word documents. If I want to see all my spreadsheets, I could do that. Oh, I'm sorry, I got to undo my Word document so I can see, spreadsheets by themselves, so on and so forth. So, yeah, major overhaul to the library. I haven't used it a ton yet to say whether or not I like it. And that's what I was telling all my constituents there, all the folks in my industry, like, yeah, I gotta use this thing first before I say if I like it or not. But it still has the fundamentals that we know when it comes to SharePoint document libraries. So I'm going to show you what you would probably do if you wanted to create let me see here. So, uh, for engagement, year, section, and status. So, engagement, year, section, and status. Let me see here. Engagement, year, section, and status. Okay. The engagement. Let's say the engagement, matter of fact, here, let's just do this right here. So we're going to go to the create button and we're going to create a folder. And we're going to call this folder, holiday party. That's a type of engagement. Wait. Yeah, we can say that. Then we'll create another folder and call that the big 2026 project. And then we'll create one more folder and call this the maybe we're in an industry. Oh no, wait, we we have a real industry right here. So accountants. So let's call it, you know, quarter one planning session. So we're gonna have a quarter one planning session. Right now, these are our engagements. So I would have took it a step further and created a folder called engagements. And then inside of the folder, I would have put these three folders because that's normal behavior. But we're not doing that. I'm gonna show you something different. So we got engagements. Now we got the year. Now this is what you would definitely be used to. You would go inside of a folder, and matter of fact, not even the big 2026 project. Let's say the holiday party. The holiday party happens every year. So inside of the holiday party, I'm gonna create a folder and say this is we did one last year, so you can go there and find, old pitches or whatever, 25, or who was on the planning team, because we do a really big holiday party every year. 2026 for this year coming up. And then we have 2027 for when that happens, all inside of our holiday party folder. Let's go back to documents. And you're going to do the same probably for I should have just called this the planning session. So planning session happens every quarter. Matter of fact, it probably happens Q4 2025 it happened. Excuse me. We have documents from Q4 2024. And we're getting ready for Q4 2026. So we'll do that there. We'll go back to documents. And I'm going to rename this. This is a really long menu that comes up. A lot of people say that it's intimidating. I would say if you get to know what each of those things do, then, it's not too intimidating. I'm talking about when you click the ellipses here and this long menu comes up. It can look overwhelming, but I think, once you know what those things do, then it gets less overwhelming. Big 2026 project. So what do? We do things like, I don't know, maybe stakeholders. I don't know what kind of maybe stakeholder bios. So we got the biographies of all the stakeholders that are coming. And then we also have planning documents. Call it planning docs. So now we have our folders, right? Pardon me. So we have our folders. One of the first problems with this situation is I don't know what's going on inside of those folders. Big 2026 project, it may or may not have stakeholder documents. I don't know what's going on in there. Holiday party, I don't know if they're naming them by year. I don't know if they're naming them by who the person is that took care of it that year. Like, I don't know. In order for me to find out, I have to click in to holiday party, and then I see, oh, they do them by fiscal year. I need the stuff for 2026. When I look in 2026, it might be a planning documents folder again that we put in the other project. It might have pictures. I don't know. It just, it got a lot going on. And in order for me to find out what's going on, I have to click in and end up in a situation where I might be clicking around a lot, just digging and digging and digging into these folders. It's really frustrating. You might have experienced this, or you might have set something up like this for your counterparts and had them dig through it. Now, imagine if you set up a portal and you set up something like this for one of your clients and you tell them this is what's going on. We got these folders. This is how you're going to use it. But you have to train them on how you do your folder schema. Again, not a big deal. Matter of fact, I commend you for thinking of some type of schema and then explaining that to your customers. It's like you're trying to make things easier. So you have the brain, you have the mind of a person who wants to make things better. So that means that when I show you what I'm going to show you here, you're going to see how it can work for your situation, because you already are defaulting to, man, I just want to make things easier for myself. I want to make it easier for my clients, so that they could just find stuff and it doesn't have to be a big deal. So let's say that I agenda template I just dragged agenda template right into big 2026 project. So it's in here right now. And I will call this a planning document. So I'll drag it into there. So right now, the planning document that I need, the agenda, is buried down there in that 2026 folder, but I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Now, could I search? I know there's probably some people like, yeah, but you could just search. Now, here's the thing about search. Search is powerful inside of SharePoint. But if I have put a planning document inside of the planning document folder for big 2026 project, people might not even know about that. And they're also creating planning document folders, putting documents in there. And then when you do go do the search, now you have multiple documents that apply to different things. And then you don't really know until you click into the document what's going on. It's just, craziness. Um, but let me show you a different way to do it. Let me show you what this metadata is about. So first, metadata is just think of metadata as this. It's information that describes a thing. That's it. So if you buy a car, a Honda is like a type of metadata. Like let's say I put a bunch of cars. I was tracking a bunch of cars. Here's the metadata I could track on the cars. Uh, VIN number, color, trim, model, make. All of that is metadata. That's all it is. So if you think about it in the sense of this document library, your documents have metadata, or you can give your documents metadata. For instance, an engagement. Do all your documents touch an engagement? Maybe. Do they touch a project? Maybe. You know what I mean? So that'd be a good thing to use as a piece of metadata. Like a car, we know every single car, at least I don't know about, every single car has a make and model and should have a VIN number. And if those things are important to me, then I would probably make those metadata columns. Now, here's how you do it. You're inside of the library, you hit add column. I'm going to say choice right here. And I'm going to hit next. And I'm going to say engagement. And I'm going to give it 3 projects or 3 engagements. Big 2026 project, holiday party, and planning session. I'm going to get rid of that last option. I'm going to hit save. So I just gave it a column right here called engagement. Because, all of my documents can apply to an engagement. Then we also have, I do fiscal years. So let's say with another choice right here, then hit next and say, let's just call it the FY. Well, let's call it fiscal year. And then say FY 24, FY 25, FY 26, FY 27. So now I just created 2 basically columns. If you recognize, like a spreadsheet, columns going up and down and rows going left and right. I just created a column. That's all I did. I created a column called engagement and a column called fiscal year. And what was my other one? Hold on here. So we're doing engagement, year, section, and status. Okay, I like status. Let's use status instead of section. We matter of fact, we can use section. If I put choice in here and I said next, and I said section, or department or whatever you want to call it. So we got HR, finance, admin, like front office, and then operations. Right, those are my sections. And then I'm gonna do one more choice field, which was status, because maybe these are, they go through a process where you approve them or something like that. So we'll say not started, complete for green, and then yellow is in progress. There's another cool thing I could do. I could set a default value to not started so that every time somebody uploads a document to this library, it automatically goes into a not started state. Just again, just think about it in your situation. How would you use it? Do you need to move documents through a status? All right.
Yeah, Thurman, let's go ahead and post a poll if that works for
Let's
you.
do it. Let's do it.
Right. Poll is today, how do you primarily organize work papers? Deep folders, shallow folders, and metadata, mostly metadata, or mixed?
Can we hear some of those answers after? I'd like to hear what the answers were after they answer this question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll share it.
I ask this question all the time. I'm always curious. Usually, like, Google Drive with some folders, excuse me, or SharePoint.
All right.
Every now and then you get
The
what was I calling it? Shared drive. Deep folders. Oh, really? All right. Shallow folders plus metadata. I like that. I like that. Mostly metadata for two people. Okay, cool. And then it's kind of mixed for Ava. Okay, all right, good deal. I like that. I like that. So the majority of us is in that boat. Okay, okay. So yeah, I'm gonna get you out of the deep folder world. Um, Gary, you good? Can I keep going?
oh, yep. Sorry. Yep. Good to
Okay,
go.
sweet. Okay, so you just saw I created these metadata columns: engagement, fiscal year, section, and status. Now, you know when you go to a website and you are searching, you're shopping. Maybe you're doing it right now because it's the holidays and you're like, I got to find this thing. If we go back to the car example, when I go to a car site and I'm looking for cars, I don't dig into folders to find information. I get that filter situation where I can say, okay, show me all of the cars over 50,000. Uh, I'm sorry, under 50,000. Show me all the cars under 50,000 or whatever. And then I want to see only Toyotas and make sure that they're later than 2025 or whatever, or later than 2020. You get to see those things at the top level. Now I want to show you that in this situation. So I'm gonna click right here to edit in grid view, which means it'll edit like a spreadsheet. And I'm doing this because I want to edit multiple of these columns at the same time. So engagement, I will say this document belongs to Big 2026 project. So do these two. This one right here belongs to the holiday party, and this one right here belongs to the planning session. See how they're automatically setting themselves to be not started because that's the default. I don't know why this one didn't. Fiscal year. I will say 2026 for these three. I'll say this one is 2025, and maybe this one is 2027. Holiday party coming up, 2027. Section, who's in charge? I guess, HR. Yeah, I'll say HR is handling the big 2026 project. The holiday party, finance is doing it, and the planning session, operations is doing it. All right. Now I'm going to exit. I didn't put the metadata on my folders because I just simply don't do that. But here's a trick. Well, I'll save that. I'll save that because they just moved the menu. Okay, so now you can see all of my documents with metadata on top of them. So let's just say that I need to see. Oh wait, matter of fact, let's change these. Sorry, I'm gonna go back to editing grid view, and I'm gonna say these are complete. These are, why does it say choice three? Hold on. That is sometimes a thing that happens in SharePoint. I'm going to go to the column, click column settings, and then hit edit. Change choice three to say in progress. And hit save. Now I'm going to come back here and edit in grid view again and change this to say in progress. And set these to be in progress. All right, now I'm going to exit. So I got all my documents for the most part anyway, not the one that I moved. I didn't move the agenda. But the documents that you see sitting out here, not my folders, I put them in, I assign metadata to them. Now, because I assign metadata to them, I can do the thing that I was just talking about that happens on a car website. Instead of coming here and digging through a bunch of folders, I could say, all right, I need the big 2026 project documents right here, big 2026 projects. But I need, let's see, I did everything. Okay, I could just say I need all the big 2026 project documents. And here they are. I don't have to go digging through any folders. They're all right here. So cool. Now, let's say I just cleared my filter. Let's say I'm just trying to find all of my 2026. No, I ain't gonna do that. I'm just trying to find all of the documents in 2025 that are complete. Because I'm looking to see, because I know I could have swore I figured I completed some document back in 2025. I don't remember what it was for, but I'm looking for something. The boss asked me to look for something, so I'm looking for it. So I'm gonna say, give me all of my or matter of fact, here, I'll go from status and I'll say all of my documents that I marked complete. But then I'm gonna say, but give me all my 2025 documents. And here I go. Okay, let's put a count on this column here. All right, see, now I have a count of 1. So now I know, oh, I have one document that applies to, look, you can see these highlighted where the status is complete and the fiscal year is FY25. I'm doing this with like 3 documents here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even like scratching the surface. But imagine you taking this route for your documents that instead of using folders, which folders are not bad. You know what I mean? Like I don't consider folders a bad thing. Folders are still good. So I usually recommend don't just throw away folders unless you can. If you don't need folders, because I don't think I use folders. Um, if you want to still use folders, use them, but also know that you have metadata at your fingertips. So be strategic about the way that you use them in conjunction. You know what I mean? Um, I'm gonna hit clear right here so I can see all my documents again. Now I am going to show you one more thing that you can do. You would probably have to do today. Um, Wait a minute. Okay. Oops. Oh, okay. That was missing. All right. Look, when you're on for some reason, this whole top area was missing a second ago. But when you're on a site and you want to get into the contents of the site or the contents of that specific list, you can go up here to the gear icon. So this gear icon allows me to go to library settings, and then you got to click more library settings. Now, I'm going to show you a trick that you could use to possibly get your documents under control because you might be, not even might be, you are definitely doing deep folders because you just said you were. So if you're doing it on SharePoint, then you're going to want to remember this. So here, let me back up. Let me do it again. I'm on my library. I can see all my files and I can see all my folders. I come up here to the gear icon. I hit library settings and I go to more library settings. Then I scroll down to get to my all documents view, which I normally do not do. You know what? I'm not going to do that. Hit create view. I'm going to hit create view. Standard view. There's multiple ways to do this, but I'm just showing you one way that you could easily do. So I'm creating a new view, which basically means I get to see my documents in a different way. Same documents, I just get to see them in a different way. I'm going to call this view no folders. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to say, I'm going to open up this little drop down right here that says folders. and I'm gonna click show all items without folders. Then I'm gonna hit OK. And now on my no folders view, look what I have. Remember that agenda template that was buried in a folder somewhere? It's now out here and I can see it. Let me put a total on here too. I'm gonna click name, totals, and then count. So now I can see all 6 of my documents. If you have a ton of documents inside of your library, then you can do what I just did. Come create a view, expose all those documents, and then you could start to step through a process where you have created your metadata columns, and now you can align these documents. So I'm going to hit edit in grid view, and I'm going to say the agenda template is out here now. This actually belongs to the holiday party. And I know this is the agenda for the 2025 holiday party. And finance is in charge. And this is in progress. And I'm gonna hit exit grid view. That's just a useful thing that you can do to get on your way to doing what I usually recommend, which is getting rid of these documents. This is too much. But again, I'm not gonna steer you away from, industry standards and stuff like that. Obviously, don't get rid of those. But documents where you feel like you're doing too much, you got too many copies, or it's being redundant, you can get rid of those. And or at least start to categorize them and delete some and move some around to, get you where you need to be. So this right here, super cool feature that you can use to surface all of your documents out of your folders and then start to categorize them. Now, I want to show you something else you can do this really powerful with metadata. So you know how we could create these views? We just created a view called no folders, right? But let's say that here, I'll show you the big 2026 projects. I could come here and filter for a big 2026 project, right? I could do that. And now I can see all my big 2026 project documents. However, maybe I don't want to save it as a view. For whatever reason, I just don't want to. I've saved it as big 2026 and that's it. I just have it there. The cool thing about views is that they're unique with these URLs up here. So this URL, wherever you take it and send it, will point you right back to this filtered big 2026 project view. Here's an example. Maybe you put this inside of an email. And inside of the email, you kick off the project, you say, hey, everybody, we're getting started next week. I've created a SharePoint library, or maybe you've created a Microsoft team, highly likely. And you say, hey, we got our SharePoint team site that automatically came with your Microsoft team when you created it. We have our SharePoint team site. And if you want to get a jump on, the project, I'm sending you a link to the documents. But maybe it ain't going to be just all of the documents. It's going to be the, I don't know, I should have did this a little bit better instead of just big 2026. But, oh, maybe we'll do that. Look, so let's say this. I will say HR and finance and then exit. And I'll say, hey, HR and finance, because they're on this email. Hey, please click on the link to see the documents that are assigned to you. You're the only people documents are assigned to right now because I need you to clear my folks and I need you to clear some money to make sure that we're good to go. I need you to review the money and make sure that we're good to review the budget to make sure we're good to go for the project. You can include this link in the email, and when they click on it, it'll take them to this filtered view. So here's just a quick, if you don't believe me, if you think I'm sitting up here lying. If I paste this into another tab, it just comes right here. Now, I want you to think about how you can use that link. I said email because I know everybody in here is sending emails left and right. But you can also do this. Check this out. Remember we created the lovely accounting firm site right here. We have a button called library, but what if we decided to change that button to say something like this? Now, you don't got to know what I'm doing here because this wasn't a part of the agenda. You don't have to necessarily know that. I'm just going to show you what we can do if you want to get an intranet going, because that will change your life. I could take that link and paste it here. And then instead of saying library, I'm going to say these are big 2026 project docs. And then I'll republish the page. And now, on the home page of my intranet site, I can point to specifically those documents. I don't have to, upload a ton of documents and then tell everybody to go fish inside of that one library. That's inefficient, but that's what we do. We put a bunch of documents inside of a library and tell everybody, hey, what you're looking for is in that library. How about if we know that they're going to be using our project site every day, because we've taught them to use the project site every day, that we put a button on the front and we say, hey, big 2026 project docs, they're right there. So then you click on them. And again, it takes you directly to those documents. This is a powerful feature that you can dream up all kinds of things to do with it because, again, it's just a link. So the link allows you to get, a little crazy in there and do whatever you want, change the view, and you're good. Now watch this. Let's say that I am back at the library. I'm on all document view, and I say, hey, wait a minute. This sample doc, that belongs to the big 2026 project, not the holiday party. Oops, my bad. So I'll update that. I hit exit. Now when I come back out here to my main view again on the intranet, when I go to Big Project 2026 documents, now you see 4 documents there. The sample doc that we just changed right here a few seconds ago. So if you send out the link on Tuesday, you can use that link throughout the duration of the project and just add and take away items from inside the link because the link is dynamic. So whatever you do inside of this view, that's what people are going to see when they click on the link. So maybe somebody's like, hey, what happened to them documents that, I found you sent me on Monday? You're like, oh, I had to, take one offline real quick to edit it. I'll upload it when I'm done. It's just so much better than working inside of email. So there's that. You know what? Let me recap because I want y'all to remember how to do all of this stuff. So if I'm, at my documents, not there. If I'm at the all documents view of my library, which is the main view that we created, you can see all of the files. You can see all the folders. You can drag and drop files. You can add files from this link, upload files or upload a folder. You could do all kinds of things from that link. The way you create your metadata is by hitting add column. You pick choice because you're going to give people a choice. And then you update those choices. But don't feel, stuck to the just choice. If you have an important date that has to align with your document, you can put it right here. If you want to do multiple lines of text and do like, a further explanation of what you're going to find in the document, you do that. You want to do a person field, you can do that too, and assign people and say, you're not just in finance, but we're talking about Murray in finance. So here, let me show you what that looks like real quick. I hit person, I'll say assign to, hit save, oops. And then let me get back to the grid view so I can do things quickly. Assign to will show me everybody inside of my organization. All I got to do is just type. If I type AL, look, I find Alex. If I type HN, I find Henrietta. I'm going to give Alex another one. I think Megan is in here. And then Nesta is another one. They're all assigned to these documents. Now, I'll come back to that. but I'm just trying to do a recap here. So again, you have your documents here in this view, and then you have them with your folders. But remember, if you go up here to the gear icon, go to library settings, there's a ton of settings. I'm not going to overwhelm you in that way. That's why I pick out specific things that you could do. In my opinion, it's easier to learn this stuff when you have specific things. So this specific thing that we're doing is creating a view. You would come down here and create view. We created a view called no folders. That was an accident. I was clicking too quick. We created a view called no folders, and then we scrolled all the way down and we went to the folders area and we selected show all items without folders. And that's how we ended up with our no folders view. And then I showed you can filter on your metadata and then use that filter as a link. If you want to nerd out, you could actually take a look. Like, let's say I filtered the fiscal year by FY26 and I hit apply. If you look up in here, you can see filter filter field 1 is fiscal year and filter value is FY26 and filter type is choice, and then there's the view ID is the whole thing. But this piece right here, just look at this. If you want to, see how this works. See that? Filter field hold on. Filter field 1 is fiscal year and filter value 1 is FY26. That's how it knows where to go. So if I said, is there a 25? If I change that 26 to 25, there you go. See? So that's how the URL is telling the page what to do, telling the list what to do. Super cool. All right.
Would now be a good time for the number 2 poll?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Let's do it.
Yeah, while we post this, take a look at the webinar chat. There's a couple of things and a couple of questions in there.
Oh. All right, good.
And Matt, if you can post that number 2, or I can get it. There we go. What's your top pain point? Duplicates, can't find the latest, external sharing risk, or review takes too long.
I'm actually
Leave
interested in
this open
seeing
for about
what those answers are
5 or
too.
so more seconds. Sorry, go ahead, Therman.
No, I was just saying I'm interested to see what those answers are too.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's leave this open for about 5 more seconds. 3, 2. If you need the poll questions, if you need the CPE, make sure you answer these. Here we go, closing it out and sharing the results.
Duplicates, okay. External sharing risk, gotcha. Getting to that here in a second. Review takes too long. All right, good deal. Can't find the latest. All right, yeah. I'll tell you what, can't find the latest. Number one, that is usually going to be a person problem versus a technology problem. And probably duplicates too, because duplicates lead to not being able to find the latest. The other two, I could see that leaning more in the technology world. Let me look through these chats, see what questions we got here. I'm so sorry that I've been missing these. Okay, so we got the cranberry sauce again. Yep. Therman, I don't have that. How can I upgrade to the new view? Okay, you don't upgrade. Microsoft will just push it to your tenant. Some people turn on a feature inside their tenant which allows them to get all the latest, like stay on the bleeding edge. Some people don't like doing that because in case it's kind of shaky, they don't want it in their tenant. But yeah, you just got to hang out and wait, and eventually it'll end up in your tenant. Everybody will have it. It'll be available for general availability. Why is this moving so fast? Can't slow it down. All right. Heather beat me to the punch. Okay, all right, gotcha. How do we transform the deep folders to metadata? I might have answered that, Stephen, when I showed you how to uh um go through it yourself and say, all right, well, because it's a strategic thing. You currently have all of your documents all over the place, tons of folders. It's crazy. You say to yourself, all right, what is the highest priority for me and my colleagues and my customers? What do I want us to, what bird's eye view is the best for us? So again, if you were tracking things like, if we go back to the car, if you were tracking things like tire tread, or muffler size or whatever, and you said, listen, that's cool to know, but that's not necessarily where we want to focus our time when it comes to the high level ways that we search. Most important to us is model, make, year, and color. That's what we care about. So we'll create some metadata columns to track at that high level because all of our cars have that, and that's how we start our searches. That's what we care about. Because you don't want to go crazy and have a ton of choice columns on your SharePoint list. I don't even think you can. Like there's a certain limit where it gets kind of, what does that look? I don't remember. But you still don't want to do it anyway. It's kind of like, kind of like shaky form there. You want to have your high level important stuff that you want to search by or filter by or categorize and group by, all that stuff. So the way you would transform the deep folders into the metadata is by getting strategic and saying, what are we doing now? How can we transform this? Okay, and now let's go apply the technology. A good idea would probably use whatever your favorite AI is. You go to AI, you say, hey, we got all these folders. Here's the categories that we track them in. Can you talk to me about what might be a better way to structure these folders? Because I'm thinking of moving in SharePoint and setting them up with metadata instead of always being deep in these folders. And then, have your back and forth with the AI to see what might be the best recommendation. And then you move to doing what I just showed you, which is surfacing all your files and then, categorizing them by this new category that you got, or this new structure you got. Hope that helped. Jennifer said slick. I'll take that. um, Steven said, could you give an example of a fixed asset listing for equipment slash vehicles showing company equipment ID slash year purchased slash VIN, cost, down payment, amount finance, monthly payments, any warranty info? Give an example of a fixed asset listing. A fixed asset listing for equipment slash vehicles. With documents, yeah, actually, Steven, let me come back to you. I'm gonna come back to you. Heather said, I'm finding as I'm applying these to documents that I'd want a relationship. Every time I select Big Project 2026, I want the section to be advisory. Is there a way to do that? Oh, so if I said it's Big Project 2026, automatically another field sets itself to be advisory? Is that what we're saying? Because if that's what you're saying, the answer is yes, you can do that. There's calculated columns inside of SharePoint. Is this how a Mac filing system works? I don't know. So the trick is keeping current and making sure everything is tagged for the metadata. Stephen, yes, I would say that, but I'm gonna add on to that. What I'm talking about is not SharePoint specific. I just happen to love SharePoint. I eat, sleep, and breathe it. I've been using it since 2000 and what is it at this point? 2009. I love this tool. However, if SharePoint blew up tomorrow and went away, and Microsoft said, "Hey, done," the concept still applies, which is think systems first. Don't always think to document first. Number two is what's the big buckets we can put our things in so that we're not going so deep, unless you absolutely have to. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying think about it before you do it. And then that way, you end up in a situation where it does not matter what technology you choose, whatever one you feel like, because the technology is not more important than the way you think about and use your documents. It's just that that's the hard part, getting strategic, using your documents properly, structuring them, and then saying, hey, what tool can we use to apply our thing here to lay our documents in? Because these big organizations, and probably small ones too, think that they're gonna buy a cool tool and then the cool tool dictates how they would do their documents. It's the other way around. You have your strategy, your structure, the way you do everything, and then you just pick the tool of choice. I would highly recommend that you use SharePoint because one, you're already paying for it, and two, it's pretty powerful. Needed an other option for that pain point question. I wonder what that other option was. And then Laureen says, add last minute items before the meeting ends. Oh, this is that AI? Oh, and takeaways and all that. Okay, all right, that's the AI bot. And Steve says, I think for the fixed asset listing, I'm now understanding the purchase docs are what you can meta tag and then compile that list in an Excel sheet so you can perform the calculations there, such as oh yeah, oh man, I'm glad you asked this question, but let me make sure I get to this other stuff too. All right, that's a great question, but I do this every time. I run out of time, so let me. So here's the thing about sharing. Sharing gets very complicated. I totally understand it, but I'm gonna give you an overall best practice. Have a sharing site. So you have this one site where you do all your sharing from. You have documents there that you're comfortable sharing, and then you invite people to that site who need the document. There's the other way to do it where you take a document and you share it externally with a certain email address. That's a very secure way to share. It's great. I think you end up in a lot of situations where you share individual documents. But I personally think that if you can think of, hey, I'm going to be interacting with this person regularly, I'm going to be sharing a lot of files with them, we're going to be collaborating on these, a site would be great. Especially if it's like um, you're doing something in 2025, you got the thing done, and you have your site sitting there with all the files. You're probably going to do that thing again next year, 2026. So where do you go? You go back to that site. And all of the things that you have put there are still there. What you've shared is still on that site. People may or may not still have access. You could have took them off the rolls. It's a whole thing. But the concept, I would say, is yes, you can share individual files, absolutely. But the concept I would recommend is having a site and then sharing from there so that you know everything under the umbrella of that site is being shared. So for the folks who are again planning on doing something like creating a portal for their folks, each Microsoft team, every time you make it, comes with a SharePoint team site, and you can use that team site to be the site that you share from, with only a certain firm or company and people within that company. They come to this site to interact with documents that you've shared with them. Hopefully that helps. I think it does, but if it doesn't, please ask questions in the chat. So version history. Let me show you what this looks like. Well, actually, real quick, because I was going to mention search. And I just want to point out that is yet another powerful feature for search. So let's say I'm in this library. You can see it up here, search this library. And I'm like, okay, where are my complete documents? I want to see all my complete documents. So I just typed in complete. Here are the two filtered documents that are complete simply because I put metadata on them. What about FY26? There's my three FY26 documents. So that's another powerful feature of metadata. It empowers your search. So don't forget that. All right, now I want you to see what it looks like to use the versioning. A lot of times when you hear about a system having versions, it could sound, a little overwhelming, and you're like, yo, it's probably not even that good. I'll show you. If I come in here to this document, I just opened up a file called document. And this is a template. And today is December 8th, 2025. It automatically saves because I'm in the cloud and I'm done. And then I'm coming down here to invoice. Salesperson was Therman. and then automatically save. We'll come out of here. All right. Now I'm going to refresh this in case it didn't catch it. Now, as you use your documents, SharePoint is tracking what you're doing. So I can come here. Remember that big long menu that I told you about? If you click right here on version history, then you get to see what's happening. So remember all of the stuff I was doing with the metadata? I changed engagement to big 2026 project, and I changed status to not started. Fiscal year to FY26. I made all these changes. Then I came and made a change on the assigned to, and then a few minutes ago, oh, my times are wrong because I didn't update the time zone. A few minutes ago, I made a change. Here, let me do one more change actually. Hold on. I'm gonna open this up. The change I made was put that date on there, but I'm gonna say the recipient name is me. It's did it on my yep, okay, good. I'm gonna close that out, automatically saving because we're in the web. I'm gonna refresh real quick just in case, so it knows that I did something. Now, right click, go to the version history, and you can see 2 records. But when I click this drop down, I can view the record. When I view this record, I see the metadata, but I'm also, where's my link? Hold on here. Dang it. I have to update this. Okay, so hold on. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind. Yes, I do have my link. Bugging. See, this is what happens when you don't use a lot of documents. So, in the version history, when I come to this version right here and I say view, okay, I'm not going crazy. Yeah, I'm supposed to be able to see a link to the document. It's supposed to be right here, but I saw it in my latest one. So when I go to version history again and I look up this one, the last one, up here, I can click on this document. That's wild. Yeah, and this one has my name and it has the date, but I was trying to go back and find the one with just the date. So if I go to the version history, this is the one I wanted. Yeah, that's whack. I'll get back to you on that. But I just wanted to show you that you can see the version history, but the thing that tracks on every version is what you can see easily are the columns right here. So like if you look at the version history, you can see all of that stuff that I showed you, that I changed section to HR, status to in progress, section to finance. Like those are all there. They're being captured easily for you to just take a glance at right here. Getting into the documents and seeing the actual changes might be a little bit more difficult, but I know that people still love using track changes. I am not a fan. I actually hate that. Um, and then, but again, I don't use documents, so my opinion on that don't really matter. Uh, but you want to be able to know that this is available to you so that you can go, check things out. Now, as far as tracking records, like record management, retention, all that other stuff, there's like makeshift ways to do that in SharePoint that I think could answer the mail for a lot of organizations. And then there's a more detailed, very, I wouldn't recommend you do it on your own kind of process. You got to get somebody to consult with. Um, if you're really looking into doing like some records management with SharePoint. It gets a little, it gets a little crazy, but I just want to give you that heads up because as much as I love this tool, there's still some things that I would recommend that I say, if there's a tool that is dedicated to doing that thing, then just use that tool because they're probably going to do it the best. But if you just need to, archive your documents and maybe retain them for 7 years or something like that, SharePoint is a great place to do that. You can do that. As a matter of fact, one of these columns here could be your date column. So if I added a column, made it a date column, hit next and said, what I don't know, what do you call that? Retention date. It's a date column. And now in this date column, let's open that up. I can come over to, let's undo that. I can come up to my menu right up here and I say automate. And then I say rules. Then right here, I create a rule. Let me do that again. I unselected this because when you select a document, you get a menu in context about that document. I don't want to apply what I'm doing to the document. I'm going to unselect it so that I can see this menu, which applies to the whole library. I'm going to go under this ellipses and I'm going to say automate. Rules, create a rule. So I got 4 options here out of the box. You can get crazy with some other stuff inside of the suite, but out of the box, this is some of the few things you get out of the box. So a date approaches. I will say 10 days before my retention date column. See right there? Send an email to me or whoever was the last person that modified that document, send it to them. Or whoever is assigned to the document, send it to them. That's probably who I'm really going to send it to. Because that notification is going to be a notification of the day that's coming up before you need to retire this document or something like that. Well, it could be anything that you want it to be. That's the point. Is that if you have a date column on your document, you can run automation on that date. It's pretty cool. Let's get out of here. Now let me make sure that I've covered everything. Configure the document library metadata, apply best practices for secure internal sharing, and use version history and retention standards to maintain and rely. Yes. Okay, good. Okay. There was a question that, first of all, if you feel like you looked at the agenda and you didn't get what you needed, please speak up. My goal is to make everybody happy. They say you can't make everybody happy, and I'm well aware of that. But if I can make everybody happy on this specific call, then they're liars, and I can do that. So, yeah, if you feel like you didn't get what you needed off of that agenda, then let me know. But I'm going to answer. I wanted to answer a question. I believe it was from Steve. Let's see here. If you previous, okay, good. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Okay, so I think for the fixed asset listing, I'm now understanding. Yeah, okay, good. This was you saying you want to track the data and you want to track your documents, right? And there's 2 ways to do it in SharePoint. Well, there's a few ways to do it in SharePoint, but I'm gonna tell you 2 ways that you probably would find useful. There's something called content types, and content types allow you to track your data and track your files wrapped all together. It's a super powerful feature. However, it's a little bit of a mountain to climb. So if you want to know how to do it and you're going to try to do it on your own, you can definitely YouTube it. But what you're looking for is they're called content types inside of SharePoint. I wish I had a specific video I could recommend, but I would just say, just Google your heart away and look up content types. On the other side, something that's a little bit more attainable, and you have to decide if you can do this. If you remember, I don't know if you attended the second session, but the second session was about getting rid of spreadsheets. I talked about SharePoint lists. In SharePoint lists, you have the ability to track your metadata like we're doing right here, but then also attach documents. So, did we do one? I can't remember, but hey, I'm gonna just do this real quick. If you come to your main site, remember, if you go up in the corner right here and you look at the gear icon, you can see site contents, which shows you everything on your site. We have a request tracker. All right, good. So we did make a list, a request tracker. Now, this request tracker tracks my data. Like it has all of my data. But look right there. See that paperclip? I'm allowed to attach files to my data. So when I open this up, 1 day ago, 2 days ago, those are the two files I opened here. I attached. So if I click on this, oh yeah, it's some old graphics from back in the days. So you have your documents here, but remember, you have all of this data here. So now if you're trying to move your documents through status by tracking this information, we did a board view. And what is it called? Service number 1 is the one with the documents on it. So board view, service number 1 is not started. That's that item. Let's say that this was a part of some like task system that we use at the organization. We can send a link to somebody and say, it's on you to, we can send, matter of fact, it's Alex. He's the owner. He can send a link to everybody and say, hey, you need to update your file. In other words, if I open the SharePoint item, there's a link right here. I could copy this link, send everybody to this item, but when they open this document, they'll be opening the same document. So let's say I had a spreadsheet there called Spreadsheet ABC. Everybody that came to this item would open up Spreadsheet ABC on the server, and nobody's making copies. It's sitting on the server. So everybody would put their information into that same document, close it, and then walk away. And then it could come back here and say, hey, I've done my portion of the spreadsheet. A super basic tasking system that, of course, it could be more robust. But again, you're already paying for this. That everything you see me doing, you already pay for. You don't have to upgrade to do this. So you'll lose some features because it's like part of a packet, but you have tons and tons and tons of features that you don't have inside of a spreadsheet to do your tasking. So everybody would access this tool, update the files, and then the person who's it, Alex? Yeah, Alex could come and close this out, but he'd be working off of this one specific SharePoint item. So that is a lower hanging fruit option for you to track all of your data while having documents attached to the item. Now, if you love spreadsheets and you're like, Therman, you talking all this SharePoint foolishness, but come on, man, I can't get rid of my spreadsheets. That's cool. That's cool. Because you can export to Excel like this. Yes, I'm keeping. You're gonna open a file that says query IQY. Don't be worried about it. So I just exported my item to Excel. Inside of here is, again, the same data we've been tracking, but now it's sitting inside of a spreadsheet. I can see it here in the spreadsheet. So if I made a change, I can't remember if we went over this last time, but if I made a change up here, let's say, the client name is Jane Smith. I'm going to change the client name to Heather for the shout out. So we changed it. We changed the client name to Heather. Exit the grid view. It's still here. I'll go back to my spreadsheet and I'll just hit, well, first let's see it. See Jane Smith? We all see Jane Smith. Here, let me zoom in on that a little bit. Jane Smith, right here. But I'm going to hit data and then hit refresh. And when I refresh, you can see it populated Heather's name because the true source is SharePoint. And Excel is just reading what SharePoint is giving it. But you could create your pivot tables, create your pivot charts. You could do all that still here in Excel. Just, connect keep the spreadsheet connected. You can send this to your boss and tell your boss to look it up, hit refresh, and they'll get all the information that they need. Now, the reason I brought this up was to show you there's a column. I can't even remember the name of the column. Let me see. Yeah, I'm thinking of it's probably in the library. But your original thought process, let me make sure I read that. I'm now understanding. Okay. So okay. So Steven said, I think for the fixed asset listing, I'm now understanding the purchase docs are what you can meta tag and then compile that list into an Excel sheet. So you perform the calculations there, such as total purchase costs and monthly payments and all other stuff. And I'm saying, yes, you can, but if your situation allows it, you can do that stuff here in this list. And then if you want to, you can export to Excel or just keep these documents as attachments. Because I can make a money column. I can hit add column, say currency, and I'll say this is cost. I think there might be some questions in the chat, so I'll be there in a second. Adding in grid view, cost will be 2,500. This one is 3,000, and this one is 200. And then the cost, I could total it here and say the sum. And so now I'm looking at 5,700 total, but I know 3,000 applies to this file. Because this file, for whatever reason, we could filter to find out that 3,000. So yeah, so you can track your documents and your data against your documents really well inside of a list. Just don't forget that. And I did that last session. And then you can also do the same in document libraries. I see that the libraries, they're upgrading them to be more powerful. I think they're trying to make them like lists. So there's that. Now let me get back to the chat. Let me get to answer these questions before we run out of time again. All right, let's see. Oh wait, we don't know. All right. When will this recording be available? I guess that's a question for Gary. Oh, there it is. 24 to 48 hours. Thank you. Don't see the spreadsheet. Miriam, you said you don't see the spreadsheet. What do you mean? You don't see a way to export? Also, was there a separate chat? Or is everything in oh, we got one more poll coming through. Oh, everything was coming through the webinar chat. Okay, all right. Let's do the poll. When I was showing the Excel spreadsheet. This is the spreadsheet. Sorry. Right here. This. When I went to data and hit refresh. When you export from Excel inside of SharePoint, it brings up a IQY file. And then when you open that IQY file, it opens up automatically in a spreadsheet. Miriam, let me know if that was what you was looking for. And our last poll question, which feature would help most next quarter? Oh, it was. Okay, good deal. Glad to help, Miriam. We could not view the spreadsheet on the screen. I must be only sharing. See, that's what I was trying to do at the beginning. Which was share my whole screen, not just one window. Diane, so The first session we did was an hour, but then during that first session, we just ran out of time. It was like I thought I'd slimmed it down, but we still ran out of time. Um, so then we asked if you'd want to do an hour and a half the next time. So then we did the hour and a half, and then we kept it up for this last session to be an hour and a half. And with the hour and a half, you get an extra half of what is that called again? Half a credit, extra half a credit. So
Yeah.
it's a credit and a half. Which feature would help? Okay. Well, sorry, Diane. I hope the extra half hour was worth it. So which feature would help most next quarter? And most people said document sets and templates. Okay. Yeah, document sets should be a dedicated session. I just wanted to bring it up in here and let you know that that's possible. But if you want to know how document sets work, then yeah, that's advanced search. That's cool. Sensitivity, IRM, and then versioning. Okay, good. Okay, cool. So yeah, document sets. I mean, it'll blow your mind. I know my guy Daniel Anderson. He does a lot of document set videos, but I don't know which one to point you to say like here's an intro, a good intro. Uh, okay, Carrie says do this whole session. All right. Yeah, we would have to dedicate a whole session to that. So, all right, good deal. Are there any more questions before we get out of here? Okay.
Looks like you covered them all. Look at that. And it's 3:56. You've got
I
like a
know.
little you can take a nap now before your next meeting.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Yolanda. Thank you. You're
I do
welcome,
want to
man.
throw out, we did talk Thurman and I did speak after the last session. We didn't speak, we chatted about it. About whether or not, one, you'd like to see this series continue, or two, what's more likely would be for Thurman to put together a program. It would be a paid, not free like these, but a paid training series on this tool. And the reason we even started doing these was Thurman had reached out, or his PR people had reached out, just saying, "Hey, interested in hopping on your podcast." And it seemed to me like this is not a good podcast topic beyond, "Hey, this is a tool that everybody uses and or everybody pays for, but nobody uses to its fullest extent." And that's why we ended up doing this three-part series as a webinar. So very long intro to saying, hey, if you think this type of content would be super beneficial for you and something that you would be willing to pay for, just drop it in the chat, and that'll just help us make a decision on how we do this. And I know I haven't given you a lot of information on cost or anything, but in complete transparency, we haven't discussed cost or anything. I can tell you in the past when we've done paid events, we've charged anywhere from, I want to say it was like $49 a session. Maybe early bird was 45 or something, but like $50 and up. But again, it's going to depend on the length of time and how many sessions we do. But it would be helpful just to know if anybody would have interest in hopping into a paid type. And then Thurman, we always want to make sure people know how to reach you. You do get their contact information after this, but if anybody has questions or if they want to hire you just directly to do what you do in their practice, what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, talksharepoint.com because that's my booking link. And I'm gonna let me see if I can grab that real quick. To,
Yeah, and this, again, full transparency, we're not paying Thurman for this. He's doing this as part of one, he obviously loves SharePoint, makes my head hurt, but and he's good at what he does. This is also a lead gen tool for him. But as you've seen through these three sessions, he's not here trying to sell you anything. But he would certainly appreciate your business. So reach out to him. There's his calendar. What was it one more? Okay, it's in the
yeah,
it's
it's
in
in
the
the chat.
chat.
That's a
Copy
free
that.
half-hour chat to see if and how we could get you taken care of.
All right. Well, great. Thurman, thank you so much for your time invested in this. If we don't talk or if we don't see you folks before Christmas through the holidays, have a great Christmas, Merry Christmas, and happy holiday season. And Thurman, we'll be in touch just with what people shared with us. And if you have a minute, stay on and do the survey before you go completely away. Again, happy holidays, everybody.
All right, yeah, happy holidays. See you.
Are you an accounting or tax professional who wants to stay ahead without spending a dime? Join thousands who trust insightful accountant and tax practice news to keep them informed and empowered. Get expert updates on QuickBooks, Xero, tax planning strategies, and workflow tips delivered straight to your inbox. Whether you're a solo bookkeeper, firm leader, or tax advisor, these newsletters are your shortcut to what's next in the profession. They're free, practical, and built for people like you. Visit insightfulaccountant.com and hit subscribe to start your smarter workflow today for free.